Let's talk about something that I see a lot, especially in our community. We've been taught to save. Save for a rainy day, save for different events in life. All of the different things we've been taught, save. Save just in case. Save because something might go wrong. Save because, again, all of the things and possibilities could go wrong, right? But here's the truth. You cannot save your way to becoming wealthy. And more importantly, God didn't just design it for us to save our way there. He called us to multiply. And I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to saving, it's to me, it's addition. Even with my high yield savings account, it adds a little interest, but it doesn't give that compounding effect and definitely not a multiplication effect. That's not what I believe God called us to do. He's the God of multiplication. So remember that we serve a God of multiplication, not just addition. And if you've been playing small with your finances, you're afraid to invest, you're afraid to take action, then I believe that this message will be just for you. Now, first, don't get me wrong. Saving is absolutely necessary. It is one of the building blocks that we do need to build wealth, right? So before you start going out there and investing and doing different things, save you up an emergency fund. Save you up something to protect you in the event of a rainy day so you don't have to go and pull from your credit cards. But there does come a point where saving can now come to a halt. And instead, you can start investing that. And when does that season come? And that answer really depends for many people, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I do believe after a certain point, you need to stop saving. But for so many people, saving becomes a ceiling versus just the foundation, right? So build an emergency fund, that's the starting foundation for you to build wealth. And instead, most people think if I just save enough money, I'll be good. If I put everything in my savings account, that's the wise thing to do. But the problem is, you're now no longer growing what God gave you. You're just hoarding it and you're scared to lose it. And trust me, I get it, right? I was a person that after I paid off my $130,000 of debt and built my emergency fund, I got into a place of over saving because I worked so hard to pay that money off. And I was scared to lose it because I had invested money before. I had invested in the market. I had invested in myself, and it didn't necessarily pan out the way that I thought. Even though, in retrospect, all of those things were valuable lessons that I learned something from. So it definitely was not a failure by any means. I always say within every failure, quote unquote failure is the equivalent seed of success. So there was always something in it. There was some investment in myself, but I was so scared because I was scared to lose it. So saving, it feels safe, right? It makes you feel like you're in control. You know where it is. It's not going anywhere. It's in good hands. Investing, on the other hand, how does that make you feel? It can be risky, right? Investing, there's never a guarantee in any investment. It can be unpredictable. But let me remind you something from a faith perspective, right? Faith isn't about control. It's about obedience and trust and growth and relinquishing control over to someone who has a higher power than you, someone who's all-knowing and omniscient. You weren't called to just sit on your talents. You were called to multiply them. Let's go back to Matthew 25:14-30, the parable of the talents. If you've listened to one of my other videos, you've heard me mention this before, but this is an analogy. A master gives one servant 5 talents, one 2, and one servant 1, right? Maybe it was 10. The numbers, let's just consider 5, 2, and 1. A master gives one servant 5 talents, the other one 2 talents, and then 1 talent. The one with 5 talents, he invests it and doubles it, turns out those 5 talents into 10 talents. The one with 2 talents, he invests it and turns it into 4 talents. He also doubles it. But the one with the 1 talent, what did he do? He was scared, so he buried his talent in the ground because he was scared. He was like, I have a harsh master. I don't want to lose it. I don't want him to be mad at me. So I'm going to bury it in the ground and keep it safe, and then I'll return it to him. He hides it, and he just returns the one that he was already given. And what does the master say to this? To the ones who multiplied, he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with little. I will make you ruler over much. So what is that? Like he gives them a promotion. He now makes them rulers over more because they have then multiplied what he gave them. On the other hand, what happens to the servant who buried his gift? He in turn says to that servant, You wicked and lazy servant. And then he adds another statement after that, which is so, so powerful. You could have at least put it in a bank and had it earn interest. I don't know about you, but that's a message to a lot of us, including myself. We say we're saving, but instead we're just burying. We're scared and we're trying to protect what God gave us to multiply. And instead of multiplying it, we hoard it, we protect it, we, become obsessed with it. It makes me think of that little Gollum on Lord of the Rings, like my precious, and just hoarding it and not giving it away. Like we become so scared of losing it that it ends up probably becoming an idol for many of us. And we then don't know how to work the field. We don't know how to multiply. We don't know how to be a good steward of what God called us to be. And so I really think that message says a lot. We say if you're saving, you're overly saying you are burying. You aren't the servant that God called you to be. We're not learning, we're not stretching, and we're not sowing into anything by doing those things. Let's zoom out real quick. Let's zoom out far out from here, from Genesis to Revelation. Let's think of the concept in the Bible. From Genesis to Revelation, what does God do? God multiplies. That's what he does. He told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply. Even then, Christ multiplied fish and loaves of bread when he was feeding thousands and thousands of people. The early church multiplied believers. They took early believers and multiplied them into thousands. And in the Old Testament, what does he say? He says, I will multiply your descendants like the stars in the sky. I say all this to say, we can see from this terminology throughout the Bible, God is a God of multiplication. He does not add and he does not subtract. He is not stagnant. He operates in multiplication. Even when you think you're at a loss, he's still working towards that multiplication. You might not see it yet. You might have planted that seed that's starting to take root and you don't see it sprouting above the ground, but he is operating in a different realm and a different level of multiplication. So why would we think being a good steward of our money means staying stagnant? A good steward doesn't just protect. A good steward grows. And growth sometimes means stepping out into something uncomfortable and new, maybe even like investing in yourself, in a business, in real estate, in your retirement account, in skills, in education, in your community, in coaching and education, whatever that might look like. And yes, let me go ahead and answer your question for you. Absolutely, it comes with a risk. So go ahead and get that uncomfortable feeling out of your stomach. Oh, if I invest in this, is there a guarantee? There's no such thing as a guarantee when you step out on faith. You're stepping out on faith. You're going to hope that it works out. And if you put in the work, again, remember you're operating in a God who's in multiplication. Faith without works is dead. Put in the work, have the faith, and leave the rest to God, right? So, but let me ask you, if you're going out there, you're putting it on risk. Are you playing it safe? Do you feel like it's better to just play it safe and just hoard? Or do you think it's worth taking the risk and operating your full purpose? Do you feel like you're actually being faithful with everything that God has given you? So let's be real. The reason that most of us don't invest is because we are scared. We're scared to lose, we're scared to fail, and we're scared it won't work. Of course, yes, I know the other caveat is that, of course, many of us aren't willing to invest because we don't have, right? And that's okay. If you're still working on the foundation, building that emergency fund up, paying down some consumer debt, absolutely do those things first. But if you are now past that point and you feel like you're over saving, when does it become a shift where you now are at the point where your money should start working for you? So here's the truth. Fear will keep you broke. And the enemy will use that fear against you to convince you you're being wise or responsible when really you're being stagnant. You're being that servant who was lazy and wicked by choosing not to operate in your purpose and to do the things that God has called you to do, to operate in multiplication. You keep downloading the free PDFs. You keep watching the videos saying, oh, well, one day, well, tomorrow. But guess what? You're never planting the seed. You're never even getting started. And let me be the first to remind you, as somebody who's invested in my education, in myself, in my own business, nothing multiplies if you first don't sow. A seed in your hand will never grow. A seed in your hand will never grow. It has to go in the ground first. You have to put it into the ground for it to sprout up into that beautiful plant or that beautiful tree that it was supposed to be. So whether that seed is your time, your energy, your money, your obedience, if you want a return, you've got to release it. You have to have some faith and you have to step out of that hurdle, that fear, and take that leap of faith and actually release it into the world and try. I mentioned this verse earlier already, but James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead. So yes, pray. Yes, tithe. Yes, save. But also move. Take a class. Open an investment account. Take a course. Get mentorship. Get education. Speak to other people. Join a program. God can bless what you put into your hands, but you do have to plant it. And guess what? He can't bless what you refuse to touch. So stop waiting for the right time and start doing the right thing. If this message convicted you a little bit, good. I hope it did, because even when it convicted me, it was something that I needed to hear. Otherwise, I was not willing to move. I was just going to remain stagnant. There comes a time where you have to make a decision to say, I'm ready to change and to do something differently, and frankly, to do it the way that God called me to do it. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just save for the life that you want. Invest in the life that God has for you. If you're somebody who's ready to multiply, I would love to see you say multiply in the comments below, or share your testimony about how this story really helped transform your life or somebody else's. And if you're tired of doing this alone, I want to invite you to my Leveled Up Money membership program, where we teach you and walk you through how to build a wealth plan, change your mindset from burnout to faith-filled, purpose-driven prosperity, and give you the space that makes it feel like you're just hanging out with the fam and you're trying to build a legacy. We want you to feel part of a community. We want you to have accountability. We want you to have people who are going through the same process as you, so that you understand it's not just you. It's not just me, right? These are the same underlying principles that you can apply to your life the same way that I have and the same that others before me have. So if you're interested in this, click the link below in my bio and we would love to see you inside. Because in this, we're not just saving, we're sowing, and we are building a legacy. So with that, thanks again for coming. I really hope this really was impactful for you. Share it to a friend or family member who you think this would benefit, and I'll see you in the next video. So as always, let's keep leveling up, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.